I think one big thing with Scotty that makes him very different is his playmaking coming out. It's special. Like he can play point guard at times. He
He
can run the
can.
offense.
The addition of James Harden, although some people might see it as, adding a top 10 player to the team, taking away from Joel Embiid, maybe even lessening his MVP case. But honestly, I just don't see it. Hello and welcome to the Monday, April 11th edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you're having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we do start, I do have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for updates on the podcast and for other great content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That would be highly, highly appreciated. And for all my podcast listeners, remember to subscribe, leave a review if you're on Apple. That would be highly appreciated as well. And as for my Spotify Anchor Podbean listeners, just continue to show your support in any way possible. I really do appreciate it. I have an awesome show lineup for you today. First time in a couple weeks since I've been on the pod, but I had to come back. The playoffs are right around the corner. It is the end of the regular season, so you know that today's episode is going to be handing out the end of season awards. And I am joined by a guest who hasn't been on since last summer. We have Juan from the Max&JuanCast. How's it going, my guy?
Yo, what's going on, TV, bro? I'm doing good besides the Lakers, but I'm excited to give out these awards, man. It seems like it's been a long NBA season. Maybe it's because we haven't had an 82 game season that went regular in a while.
Yeah.
But I'm excited, dude. Thanks for the opportunity to have me on, man.
Yeah, it's been honestly the past several years have been crazy. Of course, the stoppage of COVID from 2 years ago, and then last year the 72 game season, the amount of rescheduling of games and stuff. But first normal season in a while, and it's honestly been a great one. I mean, if I know it's a couple more games until the end of the season, like by the time we're recording this, but in terms of the season as a whole, like what is your one takeaway? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what was been your one takeaway from the season?
My one takeaway will be, since it's an 82 game season, I think it's really showing the teams who have really deep rosters are doing really good right now. Like the Grizzlies, I mean, even as bad as the Warriors have been, like they've been staying afloat, at least
Yeah.
with their roster and how deep they are. So I would just say, like, just having a deep roster, that's what I've been seeing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, if I had to really take something away from here, is that man, this league has a lot of talent, man. This team has a lot of talent. I mean, people are thinking what's gonna happen after LeBron, KD, all that generation leaves. I think we're in good hands, man. I think we are in great hands. This league is gonna be great for years to come. Going from the rookies to people like Giannis and stuff like that, our league is safe. Our league is gonna continue to grow, and we have stars for the future, which I am extremely, extremely excited about. But we're not talking about that here today. We're going to be talking about the NBA awards. A lot of discussion going into a lot of awards, especially the MVP, which of course we'll get into last because that's been basically the conversation over this entire season. But we're going to go through each of the normal awards as well: Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, etc., etc. So we're going to give away our basically our nominees. We're going to talk those out, but also we're going to be giving out awards, our winners at the end of it. I know me and Juan have some disagreements with our nominees when we discussed last night, but we're definitely going to get into the episode. Should be really fun. Again, thank you guys for all the support. Going to be a lot of playoff content coming up this postseason, and hopefully we can have guests like Juan coming on the show in the future. And yeah, should be a really, really fun playoffs. I'm really excited. But Juan, NBA awards, you ready to get into it?
Let's get it, bro.
Let's get into this. And because it's the first award, we got to talk the first year players. We're going to be starting off with Rookie of the Year. This is one of the awards where me and Juan, I think we're unanimous with the nominees. We have Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, and Cade Cunningham. I mean, we're going to talk about the nominees, but Juan, we're both in agreement to this. Like, why do you think that these are the clear three for this award?
Well, first of all, I just think it shows on how special this class can be, like off bat. I mean, some of these guys, I mean, the difference between 1 and 3 is honestly not that much. It's not
really
like
isn't.
far, and yeah, it's like Cade, even though we have Cade at 3, it is not far from Scotty. To me, like your boy Scotty, I know
Yeah,
you've had a front row to him. Like
yeah,
he's what everyone is looking for in today's NBA. Like that big long guy that can handle the ball and can score, like pass, all that good stuff. And I mean, yeah, he's a development. He's not fully developed, but man, like the light at the end of the tunnel for some of these dudes are like insane. Like Mobley's like a freaking mini KG.
yeah,
Like
yeah. It's
like
crazy.
dude, the rookies are amazing, dude. I love the rookies.
I really do as well. And the thing is, I mean, these three guys are like the clear kind of like favorites. I really think these guys are top three. Like you can't really debate that. But we even like off this list, like the Josh Giddies of the world, the Bones Highlands,
Yeah.
like there's so many guys here that are gonna have long-term NBA futures. And I think that, like what Juan said earlier, this draft class is gonna be special. And you're gonna have a bunch of these guys either having like star level, all-star level talent, and just guys who are going to be in the league for 10 plus years, just providing a role. And I think that's just like a sign of a good draft class. And I just cannot wait for more of these guys to kind of show up down the line. But look at these guys individually. I mean, let's start off with Cade Cunningham. This guy really did go off to a slow start to the season. Kind of like was like really slow, especially coming off the injury, which he missed like the first month of. But as of right now, I mean, Cade Cunningham is like number one in points among all rookies. This guy is, I think, number one in assists as well. This guy is just like an insane player. I mean, what have you seen from Cade Cunningham this year? And do you think really that he was the right choice at number one?
I think he is the right choice at number one. Um, like I said, I think the league just values these tall guys that can handle the ball.
Yeah,
And everyone's trying to look for the next like LeBron or like just guys who are large. Yeah, the point guards are nice and all, like, John Morant's amazing and Steph Curry, but the bigger you are, the more physically imposing you are. Like we seen it last year with Giannis. Like guys who are just long, lengthy, and can score, get a bucket whenever. And to me, like Cade, I don't think he's gonna be like a Kevin Durant type of scorer, but he can still get buckets. Like, and the best thing about his game, he's kind of like all around. Like he can play a little bit of point guard,
yeah.
and like you've seen all types of flashes this year. He started off slow, like you said, but I like the light at the end of the tunnel for Cade.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, we're gonna talk about the other two guys next, but for me, in terms of like star talent, I mean, you did mention it. This league values guards, and if you're a tall guard, that means you're more versatile. We've seen LaMelo Ball from last year carry it over to this year. Cade just kind of has that build of like what you want in a point guard. Someone, like you said, physically imposing, someone who has improved in like aspects of his game. The rebounding is solid for a guard. Passing will get better as the years go on, but you could tell that this guy's going to be a cornerstone piece for the Pistons. And honestly, if you had to do a redraft, the Pistons are probably going to choose him again just because he is just that guy that can lead your team into the future. I think he has the highest ceiling out of any rookie, but yeah, I think he's just going to be an amazing, amazing player. Moving on to Evan Mobley, though, you did mention a bit earlier. I mean, a mini KG is honestly just a perfect way to put it. This guy has generational defensive talent. I don't know how he was able to do this year already. I mean, we all expected him to be a great defensive player, but you can really put him up there with one of the best defensive bigs in the league. And he's a
Yeah.
rookie. I mean, it's super crazy. I mean, this guy has superstar potential, and the fact that he's like developing an offensive game already, it's kind of scary for the league. I mean, what has impressed you about Mobley this year?
What's impressed me about Mobley is just how great he is instinct, like his instincts of knowing how to play the game is just phenomenal. Like it's so great to see him not get so confused with his defensive rotations, because the Cavs are doing him a big favor where he doesn't really play the five. Like when they had their most success is when Jared Allen was there, like as the five. And with him being that kind of guy who can roam around the court, like it was perfect for him, dude. And he was a beast at it, man. Like you said, like blocking shots, like Mobley for me, he's my personal favorite coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
And like you said, dude, it's just we sound like a broken record because all these guys like potential is just through the roof.
Really. I mean, it really is. I mean, 1.6 blocks a game, 15 points a game. I mean, honestly, like he was the one guy. If I had to choose anyone for the Raptors from that draft, I know Scotty has been amazing, but Evan Mobley is just that guy where you can like tell him to play like to defend almost anyone on the court. Maybe not small guards; it might be a bit tough for him, but you can switch on to players. He could be the rim defender that you want. This guy like literally has like defensive, like all-time defensive talent. And with the offensive game that he has already like developed and is gonna develop more 100%, it's gonna be like he's gonna be a scary, scary player. The only thing is that really hurt him this season was that, I mean, no pun intended. He did get injured for the last like couple weeks.
Yeah.
And even before that, he had like a 1 to 2 week stretch where he was only averaging like 9 points a game, which kind of derailed his chances. But honestly, we both agree he's going to be amazing. He's going to be absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait to see how he fits in with that Cavs system, because a lot of people before the season, Evan Mobley, Lauri Markkanen, and Jared Allen in the starting lineup, people were like, "How on earth is this going to work?"
Right.
And it's one of the best defensive lineups in the league. I honestly, at this point, still can't believe it. It's going to be like, I don't know if the Cavs are going to get out to play in, but I think either way, their future is definitely bright. Finally, Scotty Barnes. I've been raving about him all year. Like, as a Raptor fan, choosing him over Suggs was a risk, but we have the saying here in Toronto, in Masai we trust. And man, I'm never doubting Masai again. I am never doubting Masai again. This guy is like an unbelievable defender, like on all levels. This guy can pass the ball. This guy's scoring ability is actually really good for someone who, coming out of the draft, people said he had no scoring capabilities just yet. He's an amazing player, very versatile, and he's really performing at like putting up these numbers as the Raptors' 4th or 5th option, which having this type of production at with like that role he has, absolutely amazing. I love hearing people talk about Scotty just because it makes me feel good as a Raptor fan. I mean, it's gonna keep on going. I mean, Juan, how did you feel about his season?
You know what? I love the fact that you brought up like he's flourishing in the role that he has. He's not the first option. He's not even the second. You said it, 4th, 5th option at best. And I think that's what does him justice, because you talked about a guy in Jalen Suggs who ended up getting drafted by the Orlando Magic. Yeah. And I can only imagine Scotty Barnes in Orlando probably doesn't flourish like this. He probably doesn't. You don't see the signs early. And I think the situation that he is in Toronto is perfect. Like, they breed guys like Scotty Barnes over there, and it was the perfect place for him. And I love what I'm seeing. I wouldn't go to the extent of calling him a young Kawhi, like people like to say.
Yeah.
I think Kawhi was a little bit more advanced in his scoring, I would say, even though like they're both projects. They're both projects as far as scoring the ball. But Scotty, I just think, has a different element to him. I think one big thing with Scotty that makes him very different is his playmaking coming out. It's special. Like, he can play point guard at times. He can run the offense. And that's crazy to think. Like, Kawhi didn't develop a playmaking side of him, believe it or not, probably until like his first year with the Clippers, when he really took on that role. Before that, he wasn't much of a playmaker. And so for Scotty to have those signs early in his career, it's great to watch. Scotty, one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, I mean, the entire fan base here just absolutely loves him. I had to cop a jersey as well. This guy is just like taking over the city, and just the fact that he has this and he still feels super raw just gives like a lot of like Raptor fans good vibes going into the future. This guy's are going to be one of the cornerstone pieces. This guy could literally play every position. This guy is like, according to Basketball Reference, the most versatile defender in all of basketball. I mean, whether you want to say it or not, I mean, he's just an insane talent. And I honestly, like, as like going into like the next couple next seasons in the future, we are extremely excited for the development of Scotty Barnes, man.
Well, you guys are nightmares with OG and Scotty, all that length. No one wants to play you guys on a night-to-night basis.
Yeah, we really did. No one does. And ask the 76ers yesterday, man. Ask the 76ers yesterday. We provide problems. And man, I mean, it's not playoff prediction time, but if it's Philly versus Toronto, I don't know. I'm not saying anything just yet. I'll definitely get to that next week. But Rookie of the Year, Juan, you have 3 amazing candidates. You said the difference between first and third is not like not that far off. But who is your ultimate winner for this award?
I'm gonna go with for Scotty, dude.
Scotty.
With these awards, you have to take into consideration the team's success to some point. And I
Yeah.
know he's not the main guy. Toronto has Van Vliet and all types of other dudes, but to me, Scotty, he probably provided the most impact to his team that resulted into wins. You
Yeah.
know, Mobley. That's why Mobley's second, even though he's in the play-in. I think at the end of the day, you can argue like Jared Allen was probably a bigger role than him.
Yeah.
Like Jared Allen, once he went out, they kind of went just downhill from there. And then Garland was a big part of that too. So to me, the gap is not big, but you have to take winning in consideration sometimes with these awards. So I went with Scotty because of that.
Yeah, and I really like the way you put it there because like he was. I mean, the Cavs were like top 5, top 6 for the good chunk of the season, and it wasn't really until the Jared Allen injury where they started dropping and dropping, and now they're in the 7th seed. With, I mean, you never know what happens in the play-in tournament. You don't know if they might like have just 2 bad games and they're not even in the playoffs. So you kind of like, especially when the race is this cold, you kind of have to nitpick here and there.
Right.
And with Scotty, I mean, I hate to say it, the Mobley like injury kind of hurt his chances as well. Cade missing some time earlier in the season did hurt his opportunity as well. Scotty's played the most games of all these guys, and just his ability, like his impact across the entire game, like I think is the reason I have him as the winner as well. I was a big Mobley guy for basically the entire season up until his injury. I was like, you know
Right.
what? I think like Mobley has like the slight edge over Scotty. I think I'm gonna go with Mobley. But these last 2 weeks where Mobley has been out, Scotty doesn't feel like he's slowing down. That's the thing about Scotty. Like he's gotten better as the season goes on, which never really happens with rookies. I think that kind of gives him the edge, especially over these last 2 weeks. I didn't want to be the homer. I really tried to, guys. I really tried to. But hey, look, Scotty like doesn't slow down. These guys are kind of like dropping, and he just keeps elevating his game. So that's why he is my winner as well. You really got to nitpick. It is a really close race. I honestly wouldn't be mad if people said Mobley's the winner, Cade's the winner. I really wouldn't be mad whatsoever, but I got to go with Scotty. And with a lot of like people like online, like and seeing like their predictions, I think people like are on the Scotty bandwagon now, which I'm really happy for. Hopefully we get it because there might be a chance where we get like him and maybe Siakam and all NBA. I might talk about that next week. But yeah, go ahead. What we can say?
No, Max and I, we love Scotty Barnes, and you mentioned Jalen Suggs. We were not big fans of Jalen Suggs. To me, to us, it's like when your first pro as a player is I'm a leader and like I'm a great guy, like off the court, on the court, like I'm a leader type of dude. It usually doesn't bode well. It's like, yeah, that's great and all. You can be a leader, but how's your game? Like, what's your game like? And I think it's just a recipe for disaster that he went to Orlando. I'm so glad that Scotty did not go to Orlando. He went to the perfect place.
Yeah, he's happy to be here. We're happy to have him here. And at the end of the day, you know, like I mentioned earlier, in Masai we trust. We gotta trust this guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Before we move on, I did want to like bring up kind of my preseason predictions for this award. My top 3 before the season were Suggs at 3, Jalen Green at 2, and Cade at 1. So Scotty and Moby were not really in the discussion, but I'm happy they're there anyways. I mean, Cade was the only one that's still kind of in this race, but I mean, Jalen Green kind of struggled so like earlier on, got better, and Suggs just unfortunate situation there in Orlando. Hopefully he can pick it up next season. Let's move on to the next award, and we're going to be discussing probably the hardest award to judge, in my opinion, the Defensive Player of the Year award, because I don't know about you, Max. I mean, sorry, Juan. It's not really like stats you can really go here. You kind of have to watch the games as well. I mean, how hard is it to kind of choose a winner for this award?
It's super hard because Rudy Gobert is literally staring you in the face saying, pick me. I'm the most dominant big. But oh, wait, you're really not, because you're going to get exposed in the playoffs like you always do. So it's kind of like, I couldn't pick Rudy Gobert. Everyone has Gobert up there. I can't do it. I just can't reward him. I can't. I refuse to pick him.
Yeah.
And like you hit it right on the nose. There's a good balance between like looking at the stats, but more than all, like looking at the impact, just how does a guy impact the game? Like if I would say with the stats blinded, like a guy that has the most impact on defense, he's probably not going to win it. In my opinion, will probably be Draymond Green. He's just that big of an impact guy, but he doesn't have the stats to back it up. He doesn't have the games played, obviously, to back it up. But it's weird. You hit it right on the nose. It's weird. This award.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, honestly, like with this, like we basically have like very similar nominees besides one. So this award actually has 4 nominees for us, and we're gonna get right to it. I mean, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, no Draymond, no Gobert on this. Both of us actually didn't have either of these players on. Draymond, like Juan just said, just missed way too many games. I'm just gonna put it out there. He just missed way too many games. If he played like 70 like games this season, he probably would have been on here, but sadly he just missed a good chunk of time. And Gobert's Jazz, man. I mean, we're not gonna talk about the Jazz really, but the Jazz have fallen from grace, and that's not a fun team to watch. I know people are gonna say, "Oh, Gobert's exposed," but let's be honest, the rest of the guys are not defending. They're not doing him any favors. So, so these guys are not on the list. But let's get to our nominees. We have Mikal Bridges of the Phoenix Suns, Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat, Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. The only difference, I think, like on this list is that both of us, I think I chose Triple J for one of my nominees, while you chose Mikal Bridges. Talk about Mikal Bridges with me. Like, why would you have him on this top 3?
I think he was just that piece on the Phoenix Suns where he guarded the best guy. And like, to me, he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA, dude. Like, the Suns have just been getting kicked under the door, it seems like, all year. Like, they had that 22 game win streak or whatever it was, and no one really talked about them, dude. Like, no one mentions that they have like one of the 15 best regular seasons of all time.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, there's a reason why they're good, and it's because of players like Bridges. And to me, like, we have to mention guys like him. And like, I'm honestly, it's hard because we put Giannis on here, and it's like, Giannis is amazing, dude. Like,
he is.
Obviously, he's probably gonna be on our MVP candidate. Just spoiler.
Yeah.
But I wanted to put Bridges. It was more of like rewarding him.
Yeah. No, I the thing is, like, when I was like making my nominees, there were 2 guys in here that, and one of them was including Bridges. It was him and Marcus Smart. Him and Marcus Smart deserve a lot more credit than they're actually given, because they, as like guards in their teams, as perimeter defenders, I would like to say that they're anchors of their defense. Right. I would like to say that they're anchors. I mean, Marcus Smart is the defensive soul for one of the best defensive teams in basketball in the Boston Celtics, and Bridges is that guy for the Suns. And he was just on the periphery for me, mostly because wings don't really win this award. I like how you're like giving them some credit, like for people like Mikal Bridges, but they just don't really win this award, and that's unfortunate for him. But in terms of just defensive, like, I understand, because watching him defend on the basketball court is one of the most amazing things to watch, because this guy's like a 7-foot wingspan. This guy feels like he's in every single passing lane. Like, it's just absolutely insane. And you could tell by just watching by the Suns on the court, he is their best defender, and he could do that, hit some threes. And I do like you said, he's one of the most underrated players in basketball. I can't believe the Philly traded him for whoever that guy was.
I know. And honestly, like, offensive players have big time performances, obviously, with scoring and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say Bridges had a big time performance earlier in the year versus the Warriors. He locked down Curry. Like, that was a defensive performance by him.
Yes.
He dominated Curry.
Yeah, I do remember that. Actually, like, now that you mentioned, I do remember that game. And that was honestly, like, I remember coming on to, like, I think it was on a weekend, came onto the podcast on Monday. I'm like, Mikal just locked up Curry. No,
wow. It was like you seen it in the playoff. You start to see him in the playoff matchup, and you're like, that dude's gonna guard Curry. It's like, I feel really confident now.
I feel very confident. Honestly, whoever he guards, and he, like, give him like the best perimeter player on the team, he's gonna do his best to lock him down, and you could completely trust him with that assignment. Moving on to my nominee, Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, I know, like, no people like are not gonna talk about him as much as they will these other candidates, even more Bridges. But the Grizzlies, ever since that first Ja Morant injury, they were like bottom 5 in defense. Once Jaren Jackson got healthy, once he got on the floor, he was the anchor of this Grizzlies team who went from like 25th in defensive rating all the way to the top 5. And he is the biggest reason for that. Leader in the league at blocks per game, has the most total blocks in the NBA. I think the biggest difference from this season compared to his other seasons is that he's not fouling as much. He's going from like 4 fouls a game down to 3, and that's massive for the Grizzlies because he gets to stay on the court. That's what makes like a big reason why his team is so good all season round. I mean, what have you been like seeing from Jaren Jackson Jr. this year?
No, he's kind of like a polished version of maybe like Mobley in a couple years, as far as like playing that 4 spot and being the shot blocker, playing with the big. But yeah, Triple J, dude, he's probably my biggest regret not having on the list. I didn't want to seem like a dummy not having Giannis on there.
Yeah,
like I still gotta reward Giannis. So it was between Bridges and Jaren Jackson, but I'm glad that you have him on there, that he's a nominee and his name is being brought up because he's took a big leap this year.
He really did, and he's going to be like a big reason why if the Grizzlies do make a deep run, whether that happens or not, he's going to be an absolutely huge reason for why that happens. But let's talk quickly on these next 2 awards. I think these 2 are kind of like staples of the discussion. Let's talk first about Bam Adebayo. Again, another guy who's the anchor of a top 5 defense in the NBA. Did miss 20 plus games due to an injury, but you could tell his ability to switch out in the perimeter, still be that shot blocker. Bam is one of the best offensive guys in the league. It's just no question about it. Juan, what have you seen from Bam's season?
No, 100%. You said it right. He's a beast, dude. Like he's able to block shots. He has switchability. He's everything that you want in a big in today's NBA. Like just perfect, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course we got to throw Giannis's name to the hat. I feel like he is like one of the default guys for this.
Yeah,
I want to give him credit. I know the Bucks are just, I think, 14th in defensive rating, but without Brook Lopez on the court for like a good chunk of the season, this guy had to like have like center responsibilities, and he held his own. I do like seeing that side of Giannis. You don't want that like 24/7. This is why Brook Lopez is so important to that team, but he held his own, and he's still showing this year. Whether it's him wanting to guard the best guy, which he does almost every single night, whether it's the big guy or guard, he always wants to take up the challenge.
Right.
He's just one of those guys that his defense just stands out, and you got to put him on this list. That's why he is on both of our lists. But Juan, we have 4 candidates here. Who is ultimately your winner for Defensive Player of the Year?
I went with Bam. Even though his games played is not up to the top, I went with Bam. It's just I do have a little bit of Giannis fatigue, but it's no shame from losing it to a guy like Bam Adebayo. He deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, like my only thing is like this is a tough one because I can literally, I mean, we just made the case for everyone here, and you could really go with any of these guys, and I wouldn't be too mad because you wouldn't be. But I was thinking, like, do I just default Giannis? I feel like you could. The easy answer is to go Giannis.
Right.
I did like take into account Bam missing 20 games. This is why he didn't make my top 1. I'm actually gonna go with Jaren Jackson Jr. I want to give him the credit. I think that his like the way that he's been able to kind of hold it down for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he's like kind of symbolizes what made their defense so good this year. Whether it's getting into passing lanes, starting fast breaks, him being able to take the ball off the court. The only thing I did wish he did a bit better was rebounding, but I think that'll come with time. But I mean, you could really, like I said, you can go with really anyone here. I think that Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the most underrated defenders in the league, and he is my Defensive Player of the Year. Do I think he's ultimately going to win it from the other guys, from like the other voters? Probably not. But I think
I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad if Rudy Gobert's in there.
I mean, look, we both don't have him on it. I don't think that I think like the Jazz's struggles did derail his chances, but I mean if he's there, I would be more mad if he won it because I just don't think like that this year is a true representation of how good he is defensively. But but honestly, you can really go with either of these guys. Juan went with Bam, I went with Triple J. Let us know down below who you guys think, because honestly, there could be other guys that we're not even mentioning. Some people might even have Marcus Smart, like I mentioned earlier, as Defensive Player of the Year. Before moving on to the next award, here these are my preseason predictions. I thought that Rudy Gobert was going to win it again just because it was just an easy choice. Gobert usually just wins this. And then I had Draymond at number 2, Giannis at number 3. Just your default guys, but 2 of them just, can't really be in the conversation this year.
Right.
Moving on to the next award, and we are going to be showing some love to the bench right now. We're going to be talking about 6th man of the year. And look, I mean, I think me and Juan both agree there's a clear winner here. There is a clear winner. We're going to get into that pretty quickly, but we had to fill out this. We had to have some other nominees here. So we actually agreed with the 3 of these here. First one I want to talk about, Kevin Love. We have him. Then we also have Cam Johnson of the Phoenix Suns and Tyler Hero. We're gonna go to the winner last. People kind of know who we're gonna go with anyway. But let's talk about these other guys. Let's start off with Cam Johnson. I mean, this year, 12 points per game, 43% from 3, 4 rebounds per game. He is becoming like that, like X factor for the Suns off the bench. This guy can get hot. We've seen his game winner earlier this year against the Knicks. I mean, for someone who was supposed to be a 2nd round pick a couple years ago, they took him in the lottery. People thought, oh, he's too old. Like he's not like the type of rookie you want on your team. But he has become a key piece of the Suns team. What have you Juan? What have you seen in Cam Johnson to put him on this list?
No, then Cam Johnson, you seen it last year in the finals. Like he had eruptions. You can already see with this kid, and he's just growing, dude. He's growing, and honestly, it's the consistency on why he's not in the conversation more. Like, yeah, he's here, but like you said, it's not close. From like the gap here from 1 to 2 to 3 is big, and Cam Johnson, it's the consistency for me. Some nights you don't see it, but like you said, he's that X factor player. It's like he's a player capable of going off for about 22 points.
Yeah, and the Suns are gonna need some of those performances if they really want to have a deep run in the playoffs. Yeah. Cam Johnson can provide that. Next nominee, like I mentioned earlier, Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers. This guy was once a starter on a championship team, but now has been relegated to the bench. But honestly, I wasn't expecting this type of year from Kevin Love. I mean, if you remember last year, this guy was like throwing tantrums out on the court. This guy was getting pissed at like Colin Sexton for not giving him the ball. And then you come to this year, this guy has like been like cheering on his team, still averaging a good 13-7. And he has been a key piece off the bench for this team and just like a good veteran presence to match with a lot of these young guys. I mean, this season, Kevin Love, it's a nice little resurgence story here.
It is. K Love finally back in the mix, and it's for 6th man. I mean, I had to give him some love. We haven't said Kevin Love's name in years now. It's been a while. It's been a fall from grace, bro. But K Love, nominee for 6th man. I don't think he's gonna win it, but good to show him some love. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly he's been great this year, and I think that like before the season, people were like, "Where are the Cavs going to trade him? They're obviously going to trade him. They got Mobley here now. There's no way he's going to get as much playing time." But he's embraced the role. Honestly, if the Cavs just keep him around as a good locker room guy to help mentor these young guys, I mean, that's a pretty nice role to have there if you're Kevin Love and you're still getting like a good amount of shots up a game, 13-7 off the bench, one of the better bench guys in the league. If he embraces the role, I think he could still be good for like the next couple of years. That's why we're showing him some love here. But the runaway winner, we don't have to go too much into this. It's Tyler Hero. It is Tyler Hero. 21 points a game, basically. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 40% from threes. I mean, this guy has just been an ultimate force this year. Some people even had him as an all-star candidate. I mean, Tyler Hero, it's literally no question here.
Yeah, and you love to see him bounce back because last year he was just flat out awful. I mean, he was so inconsistent last year. And, people were already saying like, did the Heat miss out on an opportunity to sell him while he was high when they made that bubble run? Maybe they can trade him. But good thing that they kept him because he has turned it on in a big way. I think he's found his role in the NBA coming off of the bench. That's where he's perfect at. And it's not close. Points per game up there. Great player, dude.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. And at this point for the Heat team, I think we kind of undervalue him in general because he's like one of the few guys on that team who could just go out and just get a bucket for that team. Jimmy Butler for like one reason or another, has been kind of inconsistent with that this year. I don't know. We've seen some Jimmy moments where he doesn't want to go and score, and I think that kind of is worrisome going into the playoffs. Tyler Hero, he's going to put shots up. He's going to put shots up, and I think that's something that the Heat are going to need. They know the defense is going to be there. We talked about Bam earlier. He's going to anchor that defense all throughout the playoffs, but they need someone to take shots, someone to create shots for themselves. Tyler Hero's that guy, and they're going to rely on him a lot late in games, and he's proven that he can perform late in games as he's shown this year. And also back to that bubble run, he was absolutely fantastic. He's going to be extremely important to this team, and he's definitely going to finish a lot of games. Tyler Hero, no question winner here. Were you going to say something?
No, you're good, dude.
You're good. Awesome. 6 man of the year. That's probably the easiest award out of all of this. It was just more trying to find who's going to be in the nominees section with Tyler Hero. Yeah. Going back to my preseason picks, though, I had Hero as actually my second candidate going into this season. But alongside him, I thought that Jordan Clarkson was going to repeat with 6 man of the year. Well, that clearly isn't the case. The Jazz are looking like a first-round exit. They're looking like a first-round exit, to be honest. And another person I thought might be a dark horse, Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter had a great run with the Hawks last year. Thought he was going to kind of blow up as their 6 man this year. Really wasn't the case.
Boban kind of made a late push.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, it's tongue twister there, but he made a little late surge, but not enough to even be a nominee.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter who you have around Hero. It's still going to be Hero. Doesn't really. That should be no question. But now we're going to take it off the floor. We're going to be taking it off the floor, going to the guys in the suits, or like, what are they wearing now? Polos? Because they used to wear suits like back in the day. I guess it's all polos now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about the coaches on the sideline. We're going to be talking Coach of the Year. And this is another one of those awards where we had two nominees the same, but we did have a different nominee for the final one. And we're going to be talking about them right here. We have Udoka from the Celtics as one of the nominees, Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies, Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns, and Coach Bo of the Miami Heat. The one difference we had here is that I had Coach Bo as one of my nominees, while Juan had Ime Udoka. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, Ime Udoka. Those are the only differences we had. Juan, what was the reason why you'd have Udoka as part of this top three?
He has to be mentioned, dude. The resurgence of the Celtics ever since the trade deadline has been absolutely amazing. They've been number one rating in defense, yes. I think since then. The turmoil that was building in Boston with the whole Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown situation, with talking about trade Jaylen Brown or break up the duo. All of that talk, dude, and the slow start, Marcus Smart saying the remarks about Jason Tatum, how they're not passing the ball, and Jaylen Brown, and just a whole bunch of just toxic energy coming out of Boston. We thought their season was done coming out, and the way that they have put it on, it's not like, oh, they made a push for the AC. It's like, no, at one point they're gonna be the 1 seed at one point.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, dude. So I got to give him props. First year head coach. I thought he's done an amazing job for the situation that he's been put in.
Yeah, 100%. And I think out of all the nominees we have, he has kind of the most unique case for Coach of the Year, because up until 2022, there was one point, I think in December, where the Celtics were the 11th seed in the East. They were the 11th seed. So, so like his case for Coach of the Year happened more in season than anything, because once 2022 came around, the Celtics just clicked. They finally found a way to pass the ball more, which Tatum and Brown actually improved in mid-season. And that defense is just suffocating. Being a Raptor fan, seeing how this team without Brown, Tatum, or Horford still be able to kind of cause problems for the Raptors. I mean, I've seen it firsthand. It's a crazy, crazy defense. And Udoka has to be a massive reason for that. He was renowned coming into the Celtics as one of the best defensive coaches in the league, and he definitely made that impact on the team. And look, their offense isn't bad either. They're still top 10 in the league, and that's mostly because you have Tatum and Brown. That is like a huge reason for that. But Udoka, the changes he made mid-season. Remember, guys, this was mid-season, and now they went from the 11th seed. They were like 1 seed, like they were the first seed for like a day or two, like last month, and they're going to get home court advantage in the playoffs. That definitely deserves some credit. I like that pick there. But I gotta defend my guy Spo. I gotta defend my guy Spo here. And the fact, I mean, like we talk about injuries, the Heat have had like Larry missing a bunch of games, Bam missing a bunch of games, Jimmy missing a good chunk of games, and Spo has still led this team to the first seed. And he's doing this not with just the star players. Max Strus has taken Duncan Robinson's spot in the starting lineup. You've seen some games from like Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin. I mean, this is just like some like names that like most NBA fans have never heard of. And they've come into this team, come into the rotation for like a Heat team where many thought, is this team like gonna be deep enough to make a good run? Well, clearly they do, because these guys are performing at a high level. And I think Spo getting the best of these guys definitely deserves some love. And he's just like, he has created this Heat. I don't want to be cliche, but this Heat culture that no one wants to face in the playoffs. No one wants to face Miami in the playoffs, but he definitely deserves some love.
Yeah, I like the Spo love. He's been at great head coach for years now. He survived the whole LeBron with the Heat and the Big Three era, and he's made it out of it. And he's had great teams after that. So I get you on the love with Spo. To me, I think it just came down to the mountain that the two had to climb. I just think Udoka's was a lot higher. Even though, I mean, there's no wrong of putting Spo in there. To be honest, I think this was one of the hardest awards to pick.
Yeah.
Because I like all four of these guys that we put. Like, you can make an argument for all four of them, man.
Yeah, no, you could definitely. And especially with like these teams like performing it the way that they have, these are all like 50+ win teams. And so like you can really like make a case for either way. There's a narrative to go for each of them. I like these four. I definitely do. But we got to move on to these next two guys. Let's first talk about Monty Williams. Monty Williams has led the Suns to not just the number one record in the league, the number one record like by far. I mean, just seeing just the gap between them and like second place Grizzlies is insane. They're like 8 games up on the Grizzlies, and I'm like, yo, I mean, like they're doing something right. Monty has to be one of the best coaches in the league. Booker missed some time due to COVID and some other like nagging injuries. Chris Paul missed near 20 games. DeAndre Ayton had a part where he wasn't like in the lineup. And Monty has been getting like production out of people like Cam Johnson, we mentioned earlier. They've got Jay Crowder, of course, playing at a high level, putting Mikal Bridges in positions where people are talking about him for Defensive Player of the Year. Campaign. JaVale McGee with the resurgence here in Phoenix as well. Him along with Bismack Biyombo, who they got on a 10-day contract, and he became a decent piece for them. It's crazy how this team just
they're a machine.
They're a machine. Like once someone is out, it just keeps on going and it keeps on going. And it's crazy to see. And Monty Williams is a big part of that.
Yeah, one of the top, I mean, let alone number one seed, one of the top 15 best all-time regular season teams that we've seen record-wise. They're ridiculous, bro. And Monty Williams, just for that alone, to bring Phoenix from that is amazing, dude. Like they kind of remind me a little bit of the Spurs a couple years back. Remember when they had that finals loss to the Heat and they came back and had one of the best regular seasons ever? Yeah. And they were on a mission. Like the Suns are on a mission, dude. And Monty Williams is a big part of it. He definitely needs some credit towards his way.
Yeah. Number 3 in defensive rating, number 4 in offensive rating. No matter who you have on the court, you just, I mean, it's next with the last candidate we're going to talk about later, but no matter who you have on the court, I mean, the Suns the other day had to face a Clipper team led by Paul George with no Jay Crowder, no DeAndre Ayton, no Chris Paul, no Devin Booker. And they almost had the biggest comeback in NBA history. They came back from almost 39 points down. That just is a testament to that team, that culture, and just Monty Williams just sticking to the game plan and just like working. And it's honestly amazing to see. But the other guy that he has to compete with for this award, Taylor Jenkins, no one saw this from Memphis. No one saw this before the season from Memphis. And I thought that, I think we talked about before the show how one of my like hot takes from before the season with the Lakers making the 5th seed. And a lot of people were saying, oh, you know what? The Lakers, they still got LeBron stuff. They should be top 3. Well, they became number 11. I thought another a hot take before the season for me was that the Grizzlies were going to be a 6th seed. I thought that they were going to have a great year this year. But no one saw this. No one saw number 2 in the league, 55 wins this year. I think that is a like I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's for sure, but I think this is like the franchise record in wins, which is pretty crazy for this young franchise. And Taylor Jenkins, man, winning going 20-4 without John Morant, missing like Dylan Brooks for a good chunk of the season, just like being able to like keep this machine going. We talk about Phoenix with it. They just keep the machine going no matter who's on the court. And
Yeah.
Taylor Jenkins, he's proving that he is one of the top coaches in this league.
They're deep, dude. They're deep. And Taylor Jenkins has done an amazing job with Memphis. I hate the fact that it's so hard to pick between Jenkins and Monty. Like, I feel like this is what it's coming down to. And to me, I'm probably gonna go with Monty because Taylor Jenkins, to me, the team is so deep. Like, I get it. They were the second seed and no one expected them to go there. But I think it's just something special when you have one of the best regular seasons of all time in NBA history. Like, that has to go for something. But like, I'm not throwing shade at Taylor Jenkins. He is a great head coach, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's done an amazing job.
Yeah. And it really came down to two of those guys as well for me, Jenkins or Monty. I was a Jenkins backer like early on in the season. I thought like there's no way he doesn't win this award. There's like the Grizzlies are like this good. No one expected to it. I felt like he was going to run away with it. But then you see the Suns just keep winning.
Winning, it's like you expected them to have some type of struggle, like, oh, out of the All-Star break, Chris Paul's hurt. Oh, you know what happens when Chris Paul gets hurt? Things go down the hole. And no, Devin Booker just stepped his game up, and they just kept on winning. Dominance.
Yeah, really. I mean, I was just waiting for Monty to have that little hiccup in the season, and it did happen. And like last year, he kind of got duped by the Knicks and Thibodeau for that award, even though like the Suns again were one of the best. I think had the best record in the league last year as well. But people were so enamored by the Knicks and how they became the number 4 seed in the East, and Monty made it all the way to the NBA Finals, showing really who is like the superior coach in that aspect. And this year, I'm like, I can't take it away from him now. You just can't. You really just can't. And again, you said he's your winner. He's gonna be my winner as well. The Suns, man, like I even still, as one of the best teams in the league, I still think they still get overlooked somehow, some way. And Monty Williams is the biggest, is like a huge reason of that. Still getting like great production from everyone. Monty Williams, me and Juan, that's our coach of the year.
Yeah.
Crazy season for the Suns. And
who were some of your preseason guys?
Preseason guys, it's funny because we have 4 candidates here, and none of them were in my preseason picks.
Oh, wow.
Number one, I had Quinn Snyder. I thought the Jazz are gonna have another like top 1 year. Nothing happened. Coach Bud, I thought maybe Milwaukee, but to be honest, they were just cruising this entire season. Like they really did not care for the regular season. They're still gonna be a title favorite. And maybe you can make a case for this as like the number 4 or 5 in coach of the year. I had my guy Nick Nurse. I mean, the fact that he took like this team technically with that like this real young team, a lot of people had them as like not even in the playoffs to like a number 5 seed. I did want to show him some love just in case he did have a great season, but there was just too many good candidates. You really couldn't squeeze them in, but none of those candidates didn't even make this list. But crazy race nonetheless. 2 more awards to go, though. 2 more awards to go. And the next award, I think this is where we're gonna have some sort of disagreement here. Most improved. I think out of all the awards, I mean, there's gonna be some discussion for MVP as well. We're gonna get that, of course, last. But this one, I feel like you can go either way with this, and we've definitely had some like discussion about our 4 nominees, and we're gonna be getting into them right now. Starting off with Miles Bridges of the Charlotte Hornets. He is one of our nominees. Next up, DeJounte Murray of the San Antonio Spurs, Darius Garland of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and John Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to get to our disagreement last. Let's go to the first 2 guys that we both agreed on, Darius Garland, DeJounte Murray. Let's start off with DeJounte Murray. This guy, first year as a number 1 guy there in San Antonio after DeMar DeRozan left. And man, this guy has had a huge jump in his production. going from 16 points a game to 21, is now averaging 8.5 rebounds, 9 assists, 46% from the field, 33% from three. Made an all-star game for the first time this season. I mean, DeJounte Murray, man, we knew he was good. We knew he was good before the season, but this guy's took his game up to a whole nother level.
No, he did. He learned how to really be a playmaker in a sense and learn how to score the ball. He's always been that defensive guy, that defensive lockdown, but him being able to run the show, it's been such an improvement in his game. And DeJounte deserves all the credit, dude. Like, to me, the criteria of a lot of these awards, it's like, where's the gap at? And I think the gap was big in Darius Garland, DeJounte Murray's game, with as far as being a scorer and just the guy, like the leader to initiate the offense. Like, Pop has really been working with him to be that guy. And this year he's shown it.
Yeah, 100%. And I've just been loving watching him like kind of run the show. Like, the fact that he like does all this as a great rebounder, one of the best rebounders at his position, and still be able to give it his all on the defensive end is honestly something that you don't see very often. And that's what kind of makes DeJounte Murray like that, like a special player. And I think that Spurs fans are very happy that he's going to be part of their long-term plans. He's going to be a great defender. You just kind of given the pieces around him, which, the Spurs are great at scouting. They're no good at finding talent. They might be a few years away, but DeJounte Murray is going to be a part of that long-term future. Next guy we want to discuss here, though, Darius Garland. He's had another amazing season. Last year, averaging 17, 3, and 6, jumping up to 22, 3.5, 9 assists on 46% from the field, 38% from three. Honestly, the four general, just the guy that's like the biggest part of this Cavs turnaround.
Yeah. No, the Darius Garland, dude, big surprise. I mean, everyone kind of thought like, oh, it's Colin Sexton, like that's the dude. No, it's Darius Garland. Like, this dude is legit. There's a reason why he was an all-star this year. There's a reason why the Cavs are actually good this year. And it's Darius Garland. It's the leap that he's done in this game in all aspects, playmaking wise, scoring wise, even on the defensive end. Like, he's not the biggest dude. He's not the best defensive player, but at least he gives effort on that floor. And just the jump for him, dude, it's been great to see that that he's made that leap.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this for sure about Darius Garland as well. I mean, not a lot of guards are going to find success in a system like Cleveland, which has three basically 7-footers on their lineup, with Mobley, Allen, and Markkanen. But Garland was a constant all year. He made it work. He fed those guys. They were just like, honestly, like one of like the biggest lob threats in like the whole NBA. You could throw it to like Allen and Mobley constantly, and him like still getting like Markkanen involved, playing the small forward position, which still kind of sounds ridiculous to me that Lauri Markkanen is a starting small forward. But Garland made it work, and he turned it to an all-star season. And he is honestly, for me, the biggest reason why the Cavs were able to have this massive turnaround, and this is why he is in the race for most improved, one of the best upcoming guards the league that has right now, first-time all-star as well, like Juan mentioned. But this is where we have a little bit of a disagreement. Juan, I'll let you start first with your nominee. Mike, I mean, people who have listened to the pod know who I'm gonna have here. They already know. So I mean, Miles Bridges definitely have made a big jump this year. 13 points a game last year, 20 this year, 7 and 4 as well, 49, 33, and 80% from the free throw line at a higher volume. This guy has become basically the second option there for the Hornets.
Yeah,
he's been great this year. But Miles Bridges, why did you have him on this?
Basically all the same reasons that you just said, TV. Like, to me, you have to, every award has a criteria, bro. It's like Shaq says with MVP. It's like, you have to be on a winning team. You have to be somewhat winning. Then you have to put up the numbers. Like, to me, for most improved player, it's like, where's the leap at? Like, Ja Morant, who we're gonna get into, Ja Morant was good. Like he was great last year. Yeah, he got better, but it's like he was so young. Like, of course he's gonna get better. It's like next year, if we wind up seeing Evan Mobley be an all-star, like how much is that of a leap? Like he was borderline an all-star this year. Like to me, the John Morant thing is like, I don't blame you for having him on. I don't think the award should be like that. I don't think he should be able to win that award. It's just like the leap wasn't that big. Like a guy like Bridges, the leap that he made is like, oh, this guy's a bench guy. Like he doesn't really score that much. Like, no, like he's an explosive scorer now. Like he's a
Yeah.
go-to guy in Charlotte. Like
Yeah.
that's just my thing. I don't
Yeah.
blame you at all for having Jaw. I get it.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna get into it just after this, but I do want to talk about Miles Bridges because he kind of had that Zach LaVine leap as well. I mean, like Zach LaVine, purely known as a dunker because of his performances in the dunk contest. Miles Bridges just became like a highlight guy. You know what I mean? Like he was just known like mostly for his highlights and just like crazy reactions from the Hornets announcers. He turned into a real basketball player here. Good on the defensive end, a good like a scoring option, can rebound the ball, and it's just been a reliable piece for that team. And seeing that jump from him again, he was on the periphery for me, but I completely understand why he would be in that conversation. Now let's talk about Ja. Let's talk about Ja because people have been like, I've been like pushing this like whole hashtag this entire year, literally ever since the preseason. Ja for MIP. He was my MIP pick before the season started. And this is why I think that you're kind of undermining his growth as a player, because I think a lot of people remember him in the NBA playoffs, NBA play-in, and that's where you could saw the glimpse of what this year's Ja was. He was putting up like 30, 40-point per game performances. And then especially in that like series against the Utah Jazz, this guy was averaging like 33 a game. That's when we saw kind of that a little bit of what Ja was this year. But people forget last year, 19-7-4. I think that this leap from him being like the future of the Memphis Grizzlies, the star point guard, to him being now considered a top, maybe a near top 5 point guard, I think is a big leap. And this is why I had him as my preseason favorite this year, averaging basically 27.5 points per game, 6.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 49% from the field, which is even higher than last year. And he's doing it at a much higher volume, 34% from three as a first-time starter as an all-star. I mean, with Garland, Murray, and Bridges, they were either really good starters or really good bench players, and they elevated to all-star / near all-star status. I think it's harder for someone like Ja, who was not really considered for an all-star last year, was considered as the future of the Grizzlies, but we didn't know when that leap was going to happen. That leap happens, and it's like a leap from like star to superstar. And I think that's a lot more, like, especially over like the short career that Ja has, who, by the way, has is in the same year as Darius Garland. You know, you gotta take that into a part as well, that they're both third-year players. But I know, in my opinion, I respect the Bridges pick, and I think that people just like find it weird to see someone as good as Ja get the Most Improved Player award. I think it's just like weird to see, but I don't know. I have him up there, and I'm gonna stick with my guns. I mean, I have my winner here in John Morant. I just think that the this type of leap that we see from him doesn't come this quickly. It doesn't come this often, and I think I have to award him as such.
I get your point, TV.
Yeah.
It's just to me, it's like he was drafted number 2. Like, it's not like this guy was drafted low in the draft. Like, the Memphis Grizzlies drafted him with the intent of him being the franchise guy. And like last year, I think a big part of him not scoring a lot of points is that he got hurt during the regular season, just kind of like he did this year. And I think that kind of derailed his numbers and kind of like the image that we thought of John Morant. And then obviously he got healthy during the playoffs, like you said, and he exploded. It's just, to me, it's like a player like him who already has the expectations of being great doesn't really qualify as the leap for me. But I get it. Like the main thing here is that he obviously just made a flat out leap. Like the difference between points per game, all his numbers went up, being an all-star this year. And to me, I wouldn't call him a superstar yet. As great as he is,
Yeah.
the future is bright. To me, what makes superstars is playoff success. I want to see it. Like, you kind of seen it with Luka, where it's these guys who bails out their team. Like, when everything is going bad, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna show? And Ja still needs to have more showings of that. Part of it is because he hasn't shown it yet. The playoffs hasn't started. He hasn't had that many opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, he's only played like 5 games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we're gonna see that this year, and he is still a great player. No shade towards Ja.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm just looking back at like the past most improved player awards. I mean, Julius Randle, it took him like 5 or 6 years before he won the award. Brandon Ingram, he had to wait maybe I think like 4 years for the award. Siakam, that's more of the person that you're kind of trying to like talk about. Someone who like didn't like wasn't expected to take this jump, finally got the jump. Same thing with kind of Giannis back in 2017, CJ McCollum, all those type of players. I guess like, I mean, no one has like really had this type of like this jump, kind of like Ja, in terms of person who won MIP. I mean, Julius Randle last year, I don't think was even near the levels of what Ja was this year.
Yeah. I don't think it's the level though. I think it's the expectation. It's just the expectation of a guy.
Okay.
Like to me personally, I expected this from Ja. Like I knew Ja had it in him. It was just a matter of staying healthy. Like this is a guy who got drafted number 2 for a reason.
Yeah.
Like it's the expectation.
Yeah, I go. Yeah, I definitely like could see your point there. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do vote for this. I mean, he is the odds-on favorite right now.
He's gonna win it.
He's probably, hey. I mean, look, I'm gonna talk about my preseason picks, which is OG at number 3, my guy OG Anunoby, MPJ at number 2, and Ja at number 1. I'm sticking with it. I've been pushing hashtag Ja for MIP the entire year. I'm not leaving the trade now, especially with how great he's been playing. Yeah. But yeah, who was your actual like winner for the award?
I went with Bridges. If Ja wasn't a nominee, obviously if Ja's a nominee, you got to go with Ja. It's the obvious answer. But like I said, for my reasons, I went with Bridges.
Okay, respect on that. So yeah, Miles Bridges, his winner, my winner, Ja Morant. It's gonna be exciting to see where the voters definitely go with this. But now we are going to the big one. We are going to the granddaddy of them all, the MVP award, which I feel like, I mean, what do we have? I think we're recording this Friday, April 8th. And honestly, it could change. It could definitely change.
It could within 1 or 2 games. It's that close.
It is that close. Probably one of the toughest MVP races in a long time. I mean, it's honestly crazy because not just that, the wins from these 3 guys are like very marginal. I think the Bucks, like, I mean, we know the 3 nominees. It's Jokic, it's Embiid, it's Giannis. Wins are super close between these 3. Like, you could really go either way, and I'm excited to see how where you're gonna go with this. But we got to show some love to all these guys, of course. And I think we should start with Giannis Antetokounmpo because another year, another
Giannis fatigue.
And that's exactly where I'm gonna go with this because Giannis, every single year, I feel like ever since his first MVP, you have to have him in the conversation, and that's honestly like, I don't want to like take this for granted because it's absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous how well this guy has been playing, coming off of Finals MVP, scoring 50 points in a closeout game in the NBA Finals. And he comes off and is having the best season of his career. Like, what? 30 points a game, 11 and a half rebounds, 6 assists. This guy's attempting 3 threes a game, and he's actually like a bit more confident hitting them. 50, I think it's like 55% from the field, 72% from the free throw line on career high attempts. Still, we mentioned earlier, one of the best defensive guys in the league. I mean, it is Giannis fatigue at this point with him. Like, it's the same thing with LeBron in the past years. People are like, we got to stop giving him the award at this point. He already had 4. Right. Giannis only has 2, and we're already having Giannis fatigue. I mean, take it away, man. Giannis is just ridiculous.
Yeah. If I had to predict it, as far as the actual voting is going to go, just not based off my opinion, I think he's probably going to get that third spot just because of that, the Giannis fatigue. But honestly, it's close. All 3 of them, you can make a great case for all 3 of these guys. And Giannis, like you said, defensive anchor. Everything has went up. He's having a career year, and this is right after a finals run, and he's coming for it again. And he's one of the one, if not the best player in the world, one of the best players. Like, to me, it comes down to him and Katie. Like,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, I really like, I think for the longest time I've been like kind of holding off Giannis as the best player in the league type of like title. And for the most part of this year, I did give it to KD. But at this point, you just can't deny it. You can't deny it, like the impact that Giannis has had. I feel like we have this conversation every single year with Giannis, and it's just like he just doesn't have like a stop button. He doesn't know when to slow down. He's the way he could keep himself fit the entire season is absolutely crazy, and he is giving us another MVP season. He definitely deserves to be up here. Whether he wins it or not is going to be, we have to wait and see. But I hate the idea of a different team because it really should go to the most deserving player.
Yeah.
It really should go to the most deserving player, and Giannis definitely has a case for it. But just like him, I mean, I can't believe we're saying this at him at the age of like 26, 27. He's got the LeBron factor already, saying like, you can't vote this guy again. I mean, like, he might.
You know what's gonna happen, TV, is that we're gonna wind up seeing the finals, and maybe, you know, early prediction just out of my ass, just the Bucks might win it, and Giannis is gonna win Finals MVP, and everyone's gonna go like, why didn't we vote this guy as MVP? It's like, he's the best player in the world. Like, that's probably what's gonna happen. But honestly, you know, it kind of happened with LeBron all those years. It's like, why didn't LeBron win MVP? They just won the finals. He's the finals MVP. Why did we vote D Rose? It's like, oh, because we're tired of LeBron. You know, that's probably what we're doing with Giannis. But hey, it's NBA. It's not the first time it's happened. And honestly, I think these guys are more of a candidate towards Giannis than it would be in other years past. Like, these guys are legitimate, though. It's not like we're just throwing stuff at the wall and like, oh, he's better. Like, no, don't vote Giannis. Like, these guys are legit.
I mean, we've been talking about Giannis, but these two other guys that we're going to get into have just as good of an argument. And we're going to be moving on to the next guy, which is Joel Embiid. I mean, he came into the season with this whole Ben Simmons cloud just looming over the 76ers head. And we were asking Embiid, I mean, look, it's your team. We want you to carry this team, and we need you to stay healthy. And you know what he did this year? He did both. And he did both this year. I mean, he's played like almost 70 games this year, which is very rare for a Joel Embiid season. So he has stayed healthy. And it's crazy because I don't know, it just feels weird to say, but he's the NBA scoring leader.
He's NBA leader, man.
He's the NBA
by
leader.
Like point one, LeBron might beat him out for it, but still, I mean, it's crazy. He's going off for 43, 50 sometimes. Like, it's insane.
It's insane. This season, averaging 30.4 points per game. Again, 1.1 ahead of LeBron. So he's technically the scoring leader. 11 assists a game, 11 rebounds a game, 4 assists a game, 1 steal, 1.5 blocks, leading the 76ers to 49 wins at the moment. And I mean, we asked them to do this for a whole season. We're telling him, if you want to win MVP, you have to give it for a whole season. You have to have team success. He has both, and we're still like unsure whether he's MVP or not. It's absolutely crazy. But talk to me about Embiid.
And that's when it's close, dude, because like Embiid, you can argue he's done it with two completely different teams. Yeah. Like, after the trade deadline, it's like, yeah, the Sixers look way different now. They traded a lot of their depth away, and nothing changes though. Like, Embiid is still that guy. He's still the defensive anchor. To me, if I had to pick out any flaw of what happened, I think it is ugly. The fact that, you know, they got blown out by Brooklyn, like some of the big time games where you expect when you expect Embiid to like really show it off, when like the Sixers are playing on TNT or like Sunday Showcase, whatever the case is, it's like Embiid doesn't really show it. It's kind of like on a random Wednesday, Thursday night, and he goes off. So like everyone's just like on social media, like, damn, like Embiid went off. Like, you had to watch it on League Pass if you didn't live in Philly. And I think that's kind of like the thing with Embiid, that if I had to think of a negative, That's really the only thing, because he's been an absolute beast.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Giannis kind of has the advantage over these two guys. I mean, whatever you see the books on freaking TNT,
Right.
ESPN,
And that matters.
and Giannis just that's when he's at his best. Like he loves it when the spotlight is on him and he gets to put on these massive performances. And he got the best of Embiid the other night as well. So like that type of thing, yeah, I definitely could like attest to that. But Embiid is still like the numbers don't lie. It's like at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. And I think one of the things that he does have over these other candidates, I mean, we talked about voter fatigue. I mean, he hasn't won one. He hasn't won one yet. So maybe that does help him in that case. But that alongside just the 76ers, I think losing like quite a bit, like in like these final few weeks. I mean, like this is not helping his case, especially like that loss to the Raptors yesterday, seeing how his team really couldn't like meet up to his expectations. These little things, especially with the race being this close, you have to like really like go game by game with this. And this type of thing is definitely not helping him.
And me and Max have a video that hasn't aged well, but we made us a bonus video kind of tying in Embiid into it. And I think it's still true to this day, though, as Embiid, when it's on the biggest stage, it seems like he's not the best closer in the world. Like you would think like Kareem has like the sky hook, like a go-to move. I just feel like Embiid doesn't really have a lot of like automatic scoring options at the end of the game. Maybe I'm tripping, but I think the Sixers haven't had a closer really since Jimmy Butler. I think it's no coincidence that they've gone the farthest with Jimmy, because I just feel like Embiid kind of struggles a little bit at the end of games to try to close out. But sometimes the game is not even close because he just dominated for like 40 plus points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what just makes this race like super close. I mean, you got to look at these little intricate things. That's what's really going to make these differences in this voting. And Embiid, I mean, we talked about how great Giannis is. We got to acknowledge that he has been like honestly just as good. Some people might think better. And honestly, I mean, just looking, I mean, before we even get into Jokic, look, these numbers most years will win you MVP. These are like MVP type seasons as well for like a lot of different years, but it's just crazy how good these three have been. And that means moving on to the final guy. We got to talk Nikola Jokic. Without Michael Porter Jr. for 70 games this season, without Jamal Murray, with the lineup he has right now, literally like compared to like these other two teams, these like he doesn't have like the reliable number two beside him. And somehow, some way, Jokic is having a better season than his MVP season, which this is what we're talking about. It's so hard to decide because Jokic this season is averaging 27 points a game, 14 rebounds, 8 assists on 58% shooting, 34% from three, 81% at the line. And instead of passing to Jamal Murray and Michael Porter like in years gone past, he's tossing it to an open three to Aaron Gordon, a Will Barton. Like it's a different type of season for Jokic, and he's still putting up the numbers. I mean, I said this, like I was talking to a friend the other day. I mean, if Jokic had like more compatible teammates, this guy would be averaging 11 assists a game. He would be averaging 11 assists. That's how high of a level he's been playing at right now. Sometimes his teammates let him down. I mean, there like a few nights ago, I mean, Jokic had like a 40 and like 18 game, and they lost by like 12 because his teammates just could not keep up with him.
Right.
But this year, crazy numbers, and it doesn't feel like it, but the Nuggets are only like 2 or 3 games like less wins than the other two candidates. So again, really tough. But what are your thoughts on Jokic this year?
It's absolutely amazing. I like to say this with Jokic. He's probably one of the most unique players ever in NBA history. His game is just so fun to watch. He does everything. Plays point guard, rebounds. He's not the best defender, but he can still defend, and he's made long strides in that department of his game. Of course, he's a scorer, and most of all, he makes guys better. Simply put, he elevates dudes' games around him. And when it comes down to me, the definition of valuable is a guy where if he left this team, where would his team be? And flat out, I don't think the Nuggets would even be a playoff team. I think they'll be at the bottom of the barrel, probably in the lottery if Jokic wasn't playing. And I think there's a reason why me and you both talked about him last. We saved the best for last because I'm gonna have to go with Jokic. Like,
Yeah.
I really am. And I think what it comes down to is my definition of valuable. And he fits it to the T. I don't care about the record right now. I don't care about the stats, because on how close it is with stats wise with these guys, you kind of got to throw it out the window. So to me, it comes down to, what are you working with? What's your situation? And how are you making it? Like, Jokic has the worst situation. As crazy as Philly's been with Ben Simmons, the whole fiasco with him, the Sixers were still a deep team before that James Harden trade. So I believe like the Sixers would have got through of winning some games without Embiid if worse came to worse. Same thing with the Bucks. I just simply don't believe that with Denver. Like, Jokic, he's everything to them.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier with Jokic, like one of the, honestly, it may be kind of far fetched to say this, one of the most like kind of like all around best offensive players of all time. Maybe it's like already at such a young age, the way that he's able to like score the basketball at such a high rate, the fact that he's able to get others involved among the best in the league. It's something that we haven't seen from someone from that position. A center doing this, like this is just emblematic of the NBA today. You just do not like see this type of like guy like 20, 30 years ago. He is a unique individual. And it's like, what do you do with him? Like, what do you do if you're a defensive player? You could guard him straight up. He can score literally the best players in the league. You want to double him? Sure, go ahead. He's going to dish out like 15 assists if his teammates hit the shots, if his teammates do hit the shots. But but at the end of the day, Jokic has been that guy. And I do want to bring this up because this is something that's been going around. And I actually do like this stat a lot, which is true shooting percentage. It's basically a culmination of free throws, a 3-point shooting, and field goal percentage. And he kind of like puts it all into one stat. And in terms of these 3 MVP candidates, you got Jokic at 4th at 66%, like in the league. It's absolutely ridiculous. Giannis is at 63. Embiid's at 61. I mean, he's efficient. Like not only is he like taking a bunch of shots, leading the team in shots, this guy is hitting it at like an efficient clip. And that's something we don't see in many stars. I mean, sometimes, if you look at MVP, like the MVP season of Harden, yes, he got like 30 something points per game, near triple double, but he was at like 44, 45% shooting. Same thing with Westbrook in his year. We don't see this type of efficiency from like someone who has this high of a volume of player and scoring on all 3 levels, making others better. You just do not see it. And in terms of my winner, it was tough. It was extremely tough because it did come down for me. The 76ers losing recently kind of like till Joel Embiid down to number 3. It was between Jokic and Giannis. And I was literally like, looking at the past 2 days, I was like, which one do I go with? And I had to go with Jokic. His impact on the team. I know people don't like the argument saying, "Oh, like why would you talk about MVP when you talk about the other players around him? It really should be that guy's performance." Well, he missed this to his second and third best players.
It matters.
And as much as people don't want it to be a conversation, you got to put it into the conversation. I mean, Jamal Murray was like their guy in the playoffs 2 years ago. And him, like, even with him being missing for basically all of this year and a good chunk of last year, Jokic still like took his game to the next level. The guy that we were expected to take that big jump this year, Michael Porter Jr., was out after 10 games. And Jokic still kept his team among the league's elite. And again, you could go with either one of these guys. You really can. But Jokic, for me, like you said, take him off this team. I think they're a bottom 5 team in the NBA. Right. Take him off this team. They really are. And I know another thing that I can maybe even put into the conversation here is, look, he's going to play like 76 games this year compared to Giannis' 68 and Joel's 69. Like these little things here and there, you can kind of inch it closer and closer to Jokic. And once again, I have to do it this year. Jokic is my MVP.
Back to back. I agree, man. No, you hit it right on the nose, dude. Like there's a reason why we talked about him last. We're on the same page. Jokic is the man, dude. And back to back, a guy that was a second round pick. It's amazing to see. I just wish he had a team. I want to see him and Murray again, dude. Like the last time we see him and Murray, Western Conference Finals. Like,
exactly.
Let's be real.
Yeah, no, we know what the Nuggets are capable of if they have Jamal Murray back to like his ways back 2 years ago. Michael Porter Jr., if he could turn to that 22, 23 point per game score,
Yeah.
this team is dangerous. And Jokic had to do the heavy lifting these past 2 years. He's been amazing. We're not like he has been like arguably the best player in the league. But we just want to see him deeper playoff success, because if you look at him versus Giannis versus Embiid, Giannis and Embiid more than likely are going further into the playoffs than the Denver Nuggets. Let's be real here. So, I mean, if Jokic can get him out the first round again, that'd be amazing. But that's very unlikely compared to the 76er team with Embiid and Harden and the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, that's just going to be like not something that's going to happen. But it's a regular season award. Jokic has been dominating all regular season. And that's why me and Juan have him as our MVPs. If we're going to go back to my preseason pick, I'm going to do this for the final time. As number 3, I had Trae Young. Sadly, the Hawks are like number 10 right now, sadly. But yeah, he was up there for me. Kevin Durant, I thought that maybe he was going to be number 2 this year in terms of MVP voting. But again, no, the Nets are just not good enough of a team. He hasn't played enough games. And I might get this prediction right too. I got Jokic as my preseason pick. He was my preseason pick to go back to back. I just thought that the lines were there for him to like dominate once again, and he did so. I think it's gonna be. I hope I could have 2 right here, but yeah, fantastic season from Jokic, and not to take away from the other guys, they've been absolutely phenomenal. But Jokic is our MVP. Man, that was a crazy episode. Let us know down below. Do you guys disagree? Agree with our winners? Put in the comment section of the Instagram post, the YouTube video, whatever you like. But we are going to end today's episode, and I'm going to throw it over to Juan. I'm going to have him talk about what's going on with the Max and Juan cast right now. What is their plans going into the playoffs? What can you expect? What can fans expect, man?
Gonna do a playoff preview for sure for the NBA. I know we've been slagging. It's draft season on the football side. We're big football guys, but we appreciate TV supporting us, dude. I appreciate the opportunity that you gave me today, and I enjoyed doing the show with you, man. Anyone that wants to follow us or listen to us or watch us on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you guys get your podcast, we are on there. It's Max and JuanCast, all one word. Social media, Max_JuanCast. You can always catch us on there. That's about it, dude.
Yeah, it's been awesome having you on the show again. I think the last time he was on, it was for the off season, which was definitely a fun time. But maybe he'll come back for another playoff episode. We'll have to wait and see. But lots of playoff content coming up. The NBA is almost in prime NBA season, and of course, after the NFL draft, the NBA is the focus, man. And it's going to be an absolutely, it's going to be an awesome playoffs. I cannot wait for it. Thank you again, Juan, for coming on. You can check all of their links down in the description and also in the link tree. But this is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for watching or listening. Remember to show love on all the podcast channels. Like, share, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Remember to follow TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for daily updates on the podcast, and also awesome content over there as well. Going to be back on this is coming out, I believe, either Monday or Tuesday. Going to be coming out with a bonus episode on Wednesday discussing my all NBA, all rookie, all defensive team. So go check that out. And I'm going to be having my playoff preview show with 2 guests coming out this Friday. So be on the lookout for that. And also, again, check his playoff prediction episode, because I think there's going to be definitely a lot of discussion there, because these series are going to be absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for that. But yeah, again, thank you, Juan, for coming on. And yeah, thank you guys for all the support. Hope you have a fantastic day. This is Juan. This is TV. Take it easy, guys. Have a great day. Peace.
Later.